Hey guys, it is Sunday night, and that means it is time for another episode of the M Cluster. I am, once again, Slider, your host, and tonight with us is Dante.
Hey.
Because it's his movie, so he was forced to be on screen.
Yeah, and I forgot to bring my notes into the room.
Yeah.
I just realized.
And coming to us from an undisclosed location is Brandon.
Hey guys.
So, and Dante's gonna have to get up for a second to go get his notes, I guess.
Nah, it's fine.
Or he's just gonna wing it.
Yeah. Red Bull gives you rings.
So
I can't remember the last time I had
or our lovely assistant can give them to you.
Oh, we have a lovely assistant, but she decided to remain off camera.
Do we not?
Here's me. So camera switching's a
So
bit.
now we have notes. Dante, take it away.
Oh God, no! I'm confused. So yeah, just as a heads up, when I first heard of Blindside, I totally thought this was gonna be about Nick Fury. I was highly disappointed. I'm just kidding, because iPads.
You didn't even know who Nick Fury was when you saw The Blind Side.
Yeah, I know. So anyway,
That would have been awesome if you
somebody-
actually did think it was about Nick Fury.
So anyway, there's this movie came out in 2009, and I liked it. Basically, what it's about is this kid is like this nobody, and he is basically taken in by a rich family who just sees him like, oh, you can't just let him live on the streets. You know, he needs somebody, and it turns out like he's this really big, talented, like as far as athletically talented individual, and like he ends up going to this private school because the coach ended up convincing them to let him in, even though he didn't have like the grades or the stature that anyone else did, because it's the good Christian thing to do, which was actually just a ploy to get him on the team. And then he actually had never played football before, and then they had to teach him. But like he's like this gentle giant, and like when he first starts playing, like he's really, really bad at it. But then after a little bit of proper motivation, he becomes like amazing. And this movie is more about how
To Train Your Dragon?
What? Yeah, that would have been amazing. Just throw that in there. Yeah, throw some dragons in there. I'd love it. So, but yeah, like this movie is like 30% about football and 70% about the character and the family, and how he was able to become the football player he was, and it is based on a true story. So that's pretty much the synopsis of the film. I enjoyed it a lot. We'll discuss different things about it here in a bit. Brandon, what did you think?
I actually did really like it as well. One of my favorite scenes is actually where he whoops all his acquaintances. I want to say because they're not really his friends. When he basically beats their ass because he's so good at survival instincts.
Yeah, he destroyed their place. And, like, not only is he just naturally good, like, he was also trained at that point.
Yes, he was.
People down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really like his character, how he is so gentle, but how he's also naturally extremely protective of people he cares about. Even when it got to the point, with his coach, he's like, no, it was like, my coach is my family, too.
Yeah. And Slider, what did you think?
I think you can learn some interesting stuff about me today, because I've never discussed this with you or anyone really. But
me?
Wow. Because this
We've
movie.
known each other for a long time.
Yeah. This movie is really good, but it's also hard for me to watch, because this movie hits really close to home. What's that?
I was going to say, why is that? Because you had mentioned that earlier, but you didn't want to actually.
Yeah, it's because it hits a little close to home. I was put out of my house, and I did have a strange. Well, they were my friends, but I was taken in by someone out of the goodness of their heart, and they kept me in school and kept me out of trouble, and she fed me and took care of me. Were they rich? No. And was I in as destitute a position as he was? No. Just troubled family, got put out of the house. I was living in my car, and when
Were
she
you an
found out,
amazing football player?
I was a football player, actually.
Although that wasn't his only sport.
Yeah, I didn't play left tackle though. I was a defensive end and a fullback. I played Iron Man.
I bet our viewers would not believe that this gentleman here actually played football. I mean, he's too small.
Scrawny.
Yeah.
But
I would have guessed running back.
But me, you could easily see that I'm amazing at football.
I figured you were. I mean, that's just like first time I saw you, I damn near pissed my pants.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
Scary stuff. But but so that part of the film when she actually goes to him and the way she treats him reminds me of the way the person I called my stepmom treated me. And not just being nice to him, like being forceful when she needed to. When she says to him, "Don't you dare lie to me," that I'm actually choking up a little bit. That really reminds me of the way this woman was. She was very strong. She was very forceful.
Boy, was she! Like
it is odd though that she said that to him in the first 10 minutes that she knew him.
What's that? I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
She said that in the first 10 minutes that she knew him, which was odd.
But that's just the way she was, though. Like, I'm not saying names on purpose, but the woman that took me in was like that with everyone. She wasn't just like that with me, and that was just, she was very forceful. And when I got taken in, this a lot of dirty laundry today, but it was Christmas Eve, and I'd been living in my car for about 6 months, and they were having Christmas dinner. And she had asked them where, she hadn't seen me for a while, where I was. And they're like, "Oh, we didn't tell you. His mom threw him out, and he's living in his car." And she stopped Christmas dinner and made them go find me. And then she brought me back to their house, or they brought me back to their house, where I proceeded to get yelled at for the next 3 hours. And then I moved in.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And, they didn't. It's not like in The Blind Side. They didn't have this big house with spare. No, I slept on the floor, in the living room because that's what she had. She had 3 boys of her own and she was single. She's an amazing woman. It didn't quite work out the way it did in the movie, So
he's actually in the pros. He was a 12th draft pick for the Minnesota Vikings.
Baltimore Ravens. But.
Spoiler.
But so yeah, that part of the movie really gets to me. And once I get past that part, I'm okay. It's like it's a football movie, But that really kind of hits home with me, and I must have watched this movie 4 times, 5 times this week, right? And each time it choked me up, And just even talking about it, I get a little, worked up about it. She was a very impressive woman. And
yeah, it's kind of funny, like the character in this movie, when you can actually see how forceful she is with anybody and everybody, where like when she calls the coach on his cell phone during the game, like, what is up with these trick plays? Just round the dang ball. And like when he's like, what? Did he hang up on me? Like, no, I think he just lost connection.
Yeah, and unlike Michael Orr, I was not gentle.
Yeah.
I got into my fair share of trouble when I was younger. And, so it wasn't like they needed to convince me. The one thing that I've been really lucky about my whole life is I've always wanted to do things right, or my version of right. And I had to choose. I had to choose whether or not, I was homeless. I had to choose whether or not I was going to become a criminal, like a lot of the people I knew down in Miami, or if I was going to do the right thing,
Spike Lee.
And, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by people that influenced me in such a way that I wanted to do the right thing. And this part you do know. It's like I had to choose whether, it's like, if I'm going to be a criminal, it's like I want to be like a super criminal. Like not, I want to hold small countries hostage. I don't want to rob liquor stores, right? I was like, that's a lot of work. So I decided to do the other thing and kept going to school.
So it's easier to be a good person.
Yes, it's easier to be a good person than like a super criminal, but there are people out there like that. I was lucky enough to encounter this. There are, at the end of this movie, they actually make a statement. She was reading an article about someone that came from where he came from that was killed in a gang fight on his birthday. You know, my life easily could have gone that way. I was involved in these, not involved, but I was surrounded by it. I knew a lot of people in it. And
you mentioned that you were lucky to be surrounded by these people and everything. And I think, like, Michael Oher also was very lucky. Like, when you see the movie, like, what happened and everything, and it's like, he is just lucky to have found Sandra Bullock's character. He is lucky that, you know, he found that coach that was willing to put all of his chips in to get him into the school. He was lucky that one of the teachers kind of saw, like, he's not stupid, he just learns differently, and was able to convince all the other teachers to actually help him.
Yeah, this is actually a really good example of, like, having faith in people, because I have no faith in people. I think people suck, right? And he was just really lucky to be around a bunch of people that didn't suck. And you know, and I think, you know, it was a wonderful thing for him. Not only because, you know, he was a great athlete, but, you know, even the person that got him into the school, you know, that guy wasn't rich. That guy, you know, he had very little to negotiate on. He was like, I can pay for my son's tuition, and I can bring this guy to your team. That was his negotiating power, you know, and he was able to, you know, use that to get this kid into the school, and then you never see the other kid again.
Yeah.
You know,
or I wondered if he did, but he just became one of those little guys from the, you know, like, from that group that all just hangs out on the stoop.
Like a clique?
Yeah. But
No. His son stayed in the private school.
Okay.
But you never see his character again.
Oh, okay. He's probably the cutting room floor.
Yeah, right? You know,
Well,
and
if he played basketball and football, or he played anything with a ball.
right.
Yeah.
And you never saw him again. But you know what? This wasn't his story. Fuck him. He's not Batman, right? So, you know, this story's about Michael Oher. And you know, this is one of the things that I really enjoy about this movie. Is like, I love football movies, you know. I do like true stories, you know. And this is a football movie and a true story, and it's really positive. Have you seen some of the football movies out there?
What about that Mark Wahlberg football movie? That was a true story.
Mark
Wahlberg?
Football movie?
Yeah, you're going to have to educate us.
Yeah, he totally did a football movie.
What was it called?
He's looking it up right now. I can see.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay. Well, while you're looking up that, I think it's kind of just to talk about, like, you know, the acting a little bit. Like, the main character who played Michael Oher, like, I'm sorry, I don't have his name with me right now. I should have, and I'm sorry. But, like, he did a good job. Like, he's no, like, Peter Dinklage or, you know, Russell Crowe or even, you know, anybody like that.
Hannah
like,
Montana?
Yeah, not even Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
But, actually, he probably is. Anyway, but, like, he did a good job. Like, he was a very quiet person, so he did a lot with his face and everything. And, like, it didn't, like, you could see it, you could kind of feel it, not to the high level as some of the other superstar actors out there, but given, like, you know, a big part of him being cast was his size and physique and his ability to actually perform the feats he needed to do. Like, I thought he did a pretty darn good job for
Invincible, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
You didn't see Invincible?
No.
Oh, well.
I was unaware of its existence until you just mentioned it.
And Mark Wahlberg is a pretty darn good actor, too. Like,
yeah.
He's one of those, I think he's pretty top level. Like, when you see him in...
It's about a 30-year-old bartender from South Philly who ends up being able to play in the Philadelphia Eagles professionally. And he didn't go to college for it.
I have heard of this. I have heard of this, but I have not seen it. So
You should watch it.
Yeah, maybe we should add it to our list. The list that we should be coming up with soon, because we are running out of movies.
Your list is on my lips. Wait, no.
No.
Lisp. No.
What?
What? Like, they made... Well, that was the song they made fun of in Scott Pilgrim
versus... my shot here.
Yeah, I don't want to... I'm not going down this road.
So it was a throwback to an earlier episode that we talked about another movie. Although we never did.
We talked about another movie? Not us.
No, not in another episode. We only talk about one movie.
Yeah.
Gladiator.
Gladiator. That's right.
No, Star Trek.
Don't look behind you. But no, it's a really good movie. In terms of performance, Sandra Bullock. Oh my God, she's a good actress, but so fucking hot in this movie. I don't know what it was. I mean,
because that's important.
I can watch that scene where she walks onto the field over and over and over again.
Maybe you just have a thing for like Southern white chicks. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Because I didn't get that vibe from her.
Oh man, I have always thought she was pretty, but in this movie, it just was way over the top.
I still feel the same way I've always felt about her. She is pretty, but not like, oh my God.
Like, no, I literally could watch that scene, just put it on loop.
Okay. Anyway.
So this is turning into a different kind of show.
Yeah.
What we're doing, I've completely lost train of thought. It's like
Okay.
that ass.
Anyway, so one of the things in this movie that was actually like an interesting like line or idea where I think she's meeting up with their socialite girlfriend, whatever's club, and when he's like, "Oh, you're changing that boy's life," and she's like, "No, he's changing mine." That was pretty cool. I like that scene, that idea a lot. It's like I'm not just doing a favor for him. Like he is part of the family. He is important, and he matters.
You actually made me think of another scene where they sit him down and they ask him,
Oh yeah,
like,
do you want to be part of this?
do you want to be part of this family? And he kind of looks around and goes, I thought I already was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to
They still felt it was important enough to ask him, though.
Yeah, no, and that was actually something that there are a few consistencies in the story from a storytelling perspective that I had problems with. I was talking about this a little earlier. When he goes to the private school, apparently the police find his name and link him to a person that jumped off an overpass and killed himself. And the principal's explanation is, when they saw your name on our list, they called us. But when she decides to become his legal guardian, she goes to the social welfare office, and they can't find anyone named Michael Orr. So if he's not in the state system as Michael Orr, how did they track him down using his name at the school?
No, I thought it was that he was in the system as Michael Orr, but they didn't have his father as Orr.
No, because this had nothing to do with his father. The scene I'm talking about is when she goes to obtain guardianship.
Yeah, which doesn't she need parents?
No, because he was awarded the state, which is something you find out in that same scene. But they were looking. They were trying to find him. They weren't trying to find his father. Then it turns out when she.
Government agencies can talk to each other.
Well, not only that, but when she goes to talk to his mother, and when I say she, there's a lot of pronouns being used here. When Sandra Bullock's character, Mrs. Toohey, goes to talk to Michael Orr's biological mother, she says that's not his last name. So his last name was Williams, I think.
I think that's the last one she said.
Yeah. But she flat out said, I don't even know who the boy's daddy is. So
it's probably the big guy.
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, it was a little incongruous in terms of storytelling. Not a big deal.
And that's what you have to do to make a movie. Because if you try to, life is complicated. If you try to tell it as accurately as possible, it's just gonna get boring. You just.
Well, I don't know. It's just one of those little factual things that really kind of bugged me.
Yeah.
So there was that. There was I can't think of the other scene. There was another scene that I thought was like, oh wait, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I mean, from a storytelling perspective, from a continuity perspective, I think there were some issues.
Okay.
Other than that, this movie is beautifully written. The acting is top notch. The family, the star of this movie. I know it's about Michael Orr, and I know how I gushed about how hot I think Sandra Bullock is, but the star of this movie is SJ, the little brother. Oh my God, he's so funny, and such a well played role. It's like, I have to assume it's either a really good actor or he is just like that in real life. Because he was so cool.
Yeah, he was fun, and it is kind of. I also liked how he was like the kid's personal coach. Making him work out, showing him plays using the salt shakers and the condiments and everything.
Yeah, when like the mixed spices
Yeah.
scored.
Yeah. But one of the things you talked about was, it's well written, beautifully written. Like, I wanted to talk about like another one of the lines that I thought was actually pretty awesome when it was said, because I think it might have taken you in another direction until he finished it, where the dad of the family basically says, his gift is the ability to forget. He's mad at no one and doesn't care about what happened in the past. When you think of Michael Oher and you hear the beginning of the sentence, his gift is, you're thinking you're going to say something about like football or with athleticism, and he's like, no, he's talking about his personality and like who he actually is. And so like I thought that was a pretty meaningful line as well, just kind of like the other.
There was another meaningful line along that in regard to that where she asks him, "How did you get out of there?" And he tells this story about his mother. Like,
Close his eyes.
Didn't want me to see bad things. She'd tell me to close my eyes. And he was not dumb. He knew she was doing drugs, or maybe she was being a prostitute or whatever, right? So she just didn't want him to see that. But that was how he learned to get past things. I just closed my eyes and let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Can't hold him back anymore.
No.
Yes.
Bad Jose.
But SJ in this movie, just some of the best parts of the movie. When he's sitting there talking to all the coaches, right? And he's negotiating
What do I
for him. Not even for his brother, for him, right? And Michael Oher's just sitting there, he starts yawning because he's bored,
They said I get to flip the coin with them.
Yeah, it's like Saban already offered me this,
And it was like legit because like I guess even in the credits when it's like SJ got everything he was promised.
Yeah.
Like that actually happened with some kid. It's like I guess in the art of negotiation, when you want something bad enough, you gotta please whoever you need to please to get what you need.
And one of the other things I found interesting was when the NCAA investigator was grilling him. She painted this really nasty picture of the two.
She was kind of a bitch.
Yeah, but you know what? Nothing she said was inaccurate. Everything was true.
Yes.
And that was a nice little twist, even though like they kind of put it in at the beginning and come back to it. It's like you kind of forget about that by the time you get to this part of the story after watching everything unfold. So it's kind of like I like that it was a twist, but not one of those stupid gotcha twists like in a lot of maybe cheesier movies or cheesier ending movies. And like it was like meaningful and like Jose said, it's like everything they said is true. You can totally see how this could happen and work out this way, and it's great that
But his response to it is what I think is really good. He's like, you asked me a lot of questions about why everyone else wanted me to go here, but you never asked me why I wanted to do it. And that was kind of a running theme in the movie because they did like the first time I noticed it, and I didn't really notice it until just like rewatching this movie and kind of analyzing it, not just watching it for enjoyment, but being analytical about it, was when they tell him that he's qualified to play football. He never said he wanted to play football, and they were taking him out to dinner to celebrate it. They made that decision for him.
And they actually, she actually asked, like, at the very end of the movie, like, like, I never asked you. Do you even want to play football?
Do you even want to play football? Yeah. I thought that was a really big moment. Because she realized it, And she asked her husband when they were talking about it, she's like, did you ever ask him if he wanted to do this? Because I sure as hell did.
Yeah, that was about which team he wanted to see go with. So it was, like, I liked how they, when the accusation happened, it wasn't an instant defensiveness, this is ridiculous. She actually had to ask herself, like, is this true? Like, why did we do this?
Yeah, she asks him, am I a good person? Not a joke, not rhetorical. I thought that was a very well-written scene. It's like she had to really examine herself as a person. And just her ability to perceive kind of got, like, skewed. She was just like, I don't know that I didn't do the things they're accusing me of. And that's a difficult place to come from.
And it's also an amazing thing to realize when you're there. Like he's like,
also
hold on a
had-
second, I need to step back for myself.
Yeah. Oh, we're not letting Brandon talk, and he actually has stuff to say.
Mostly you.
Go ahead, Brandon.
She also had to have known, though. I mean, she knew that she wanted to shelter him before football even came into play. She knew
And-
that she wanted to shelter him. She clothed him. She fed him.
Yeah, it was 53 minutes into the movie before like the first football practice even happened.
Right.
That's how much this story is not about football, as
And-
much as it's about football.
And he's already living with them and basically part of the family.
Yeah, and
So it's odd that she even questioned herself on it because
You have to.
but this is
done all of
this is the
this.
thing. You know, you and I could see that because we're outside observers.
And it's filmed this way.
Yeah, you know, it was written in the script. She had to ask the question. But as far as true stories go, this is one of my favorites.
My favorite true story is How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes, that's clearly a good one. But you know, just you know, having been in that kind of situation and having known people like that, you know, it's kind of a personal movie to me. It's a wonderful story about people, and it has a great outcome, and it's very difficult to find fault with that. You know, I suppose they could have made a crappier movie, but it still would have been a good story. And I guess that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay, Brandon, I have a question for you. Who would you
Yes.
replace with Sam Jackson? I think the easy answer is too easy.
the system.
Okay, your humming mate drowned out when he actually answered.
He said the sister.
You said the sister?
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard him clearly. Someone has headsets on.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, it's not me.
I'm talking, I keep forgetting to click myself. So you got a lot of face time.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
That's a horrible thing.
He hates the spotlight much more than I do.
But you know, Sam Jackson. You know, I hadn't even considered it because it's such a true. You know, like I wasn't watching a fictional
Right.
thing. You know, so wow. I would replace the coach
Okay.
with Sam Jackson.
That
Which-
could actually work.
Which
I could-
would be interesting because he was in a really white town.
Yeah.
And
that,
racism
would
was
turn
an
into
issue.
that would turn into Remember the Titans.
Yeah, exactly.
But, well, I guess since neither one of you said it, I'll go with the answer I think where his character actually fits really well, his persona. This is Tui.
Yeah,
Like, he could totally be that character.
but like you said,
Pretty
too easy.
Yeah, but, you know.
And you know, I don't want to see him in that skirt. Although now I kind of do.
But you also have to picture him with those scenes where where she stops and has to take a break because she's gonna cry.
Yes.
Sam
No.
Jackson doing that.
Where she I don't know, confronts the thugs and they talk about the 22. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think they would feel like that would be odd.
Yeah, if they referred to Sam Jackson as Snowflake. But all right, so I think we need to.
Well, there's
get
one more
moving.
question.
Oh yeah, how is this movie like Gladiator?
Because in this realm, one person on the battlefield, so to speak, is leagues better than everyone else and is the dominant force, just destroying everyone in his path at what he does.
That took him all week to come up with.
Really, it took me like 5 minutes. Like, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, this one's easy. This one's actually pretty easy. Like, look at how great this guy is compared to everybody else around him.
Yes.
Yes.
And now I want to like make a video where I edit that sound clip, and, like while he's playing football.
Have fun with that.
But all right, so next week is when you're not in, Brandon?
Yes, next weekend we will not be here.
Okay, so that means we're skipping a week. So we're picking our movie for the following week, which would be the 20th.
Some date that ends in a number.
It's the 13th plus 7.
Yes, 20th.
Oh, there it is.
Woohoo! Really?
Finally.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Don't say that if you don't mean it.
Don't you dare lie to me.
That's right.
21.
21. Let's see what 21 is.
Legal.
It's not there.
No, he fixed it.
No, I actually put some effort into this.
Unlike
did you?
me.
Okay, so this is an interesting situation. It's my movie.
And I'll cry if I want to.
I thought it was a good idea at the time.
Nothing good ever starts that way.
But just now, when I picked it, my reaction was kind of like, ugh. And I have 2 weeks to prepare for this, so.
St. Elmo's Fire?
St. Elmo's Fire.
The
Have
hell
you
is
even
that?
heard of it?
No.
Wow.
I've heard of it, but don't remember what it is.
It is a Brat Pack movie from the time of Breakfast Club.
Oh,
It is
I
a
see.
John
85.
Hughes-esque type of movie with Rob Lowe, when he was actually a star, for not for being caught with a hooker or whatever it was he did, sleep with someone. But it's an '80s movie, and it's going to be an interesting discussion, I think. I like the movie. I don't want you to think I don't like the movie, but I think it's going to not be quite what I expected when I selected it.
Okay.
On that note, I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up. So on behalf of Brandon, Dante, and I am going to say that is a wrap.